Next tool to talk about is our jointer. Our joiner is a big one. It's a bad one. It's a noise machine. When you are joining pieces of wood together, you are often going to be using the joiner to ensure that your edges are flush, straight, flat, ready to, what's the word? Ready to cooperate with whatever you're going to ask that piece of wood to do, okay? Wood that we buy at the store or order is relatively shaped, but not great. So this tool is used just for the edges of a board. We'll talk about a planer, which is how you're going to perform the same idea on the face or the larger surfaces of a board. But for the joiner, even though it's a really big tool, we are working with just the edges of a board to shore them up. The way that it works is we have two tables in the same tool, and this side of the table is set a little bit higher than that side of the table. So we have our blade that's covered there by the big red no-no zone. I will show that to you. Like boom. We have this drum spinner with two blades on it that come around and scrape away at your board as you slide it through. So you're sliding it through from this way. It's going to engage with the blade. This table is set so that our board, after it's been trimmed, after it's been the wood's been cut away, now it's going to flushly land on this table and slide across. Okay. This guard is spring loaded. You don't need to touch it. It will allow your project through and give you a little bit of pressure in the place that you need it. Just like all our other tools with fences, we want to have steady pressure against the fence. We also want to have steady pressure against the table. So we're remembering that 45-degree angle rule to where, the pressure that I put on my project on my board is going to be at a 45-degree angle and down, okay? So when I push this way, which again, I'm not moving my hand on the board, I'm gonna be using a push pad and push stick, but that's where my pressure is directed, okay? This is the proper standing position for this tool. We're off to the right-hand side. This tool, as you're using it, is going to require you to shift your weight and move your feet. But if you can avoid moving your feet, you should. If your project is small enough, like this sample thing I'm going to run through here, I can easily provide pressure where it's needed without moving my feet. So I'm going to shift my weight from the right to the left as I introduce this board to the tool, but I'm not going to need to take a step, okay? So let's talk about the devices we'll use with this and the adjustments. For devices, just like with our table saw, we're going to be using push sticks and push pads. So when you're using this tool, you don't want your hands near the red guard, and you don't need to have your hands on the board, okay? You can engage your board with a push stick. Our push sticks have notches on them for us to affix and be ready to give pressure. We have our push pads, which are not suction cupped or anything, but they, because of their texture, they're gonna stay where they're placed on the board, okay? So again, 45-degree angle in where my pressure is going on this board to keep it into the fence and to keep it onto the table. That's to help us avoid kickback, which is when the saw kicks the wood back towards us, which isn't fun. Another thing to think about with this tool, everything is safety related, but this has more to do with your end result. You are going to be pushing down as this board goes through the blade. So we can see that blade would engage the wood there, scrape off little pieces of it. Of course, that thing's gonna be spinning like the dickens, so it's gonna do that quickly. And then our board is gonna end up over on this other table which is higher than the one that it just came off of. If your pressure, so you get past halfway through your board, if you keep your pressure on this side and only this side, when you get to the end of your cut, this thing is going to dip downwards and you're gonna end up taking away more off of this back corner than the rest of your board. You want your board to stay flat on that table. So your pressure is going to follow through over the blade. That's why it's really, really important that you're using push pads and push sticks, because we don't want anything to slip or move, but we also want to have a good looking board when we're done. So when you are directly over the danger zone, your hands shouldn't exist there on your board, even with your push pad, okay? My push pad is going to go across the danger zone. That's why it's important to have two things to help you push boards through this tool, okay? So when I set this up and cut it in a second, you will see that I'm gonna move my hand just by looking and planning. Remember, it's good to look and plan before anything is on. I know that I'm gonna want my left hand providing pressure on the face of the board, and my pressure is still gonna be downward and towards the fence. As we go through, first looking without the tool on, as we go through, my hand is gonna come off of the board when I'm here, because I'm about to be over the blade. I'm holding my phone right now with my right hand, but when I do this, my right hand is going to be here, also engaged from the top corner to provide pressure down and into the fence. This isn't going to move while my left hand moves, and my left hand is only gonna move to get on the other side of the blade, so I'm never pushing down right on top of the blade. So let me move my board so it can be in both positions that I'm talking about as I talk about it. And you'll just have to pretend that the board is moving. But I'm gonna go from here, pick up, and just skip over the blade. So when I get to here, I'm just gonna skip over the blade. That way I'm never right on top of the blade pushing down, because hopefully nothing happens, but if it does, then that's a sad day for me, okay? Our adjustments, this is so important that if you think you need to adjust this table, you got to let me know, and you're going to talk me through why you think so, and I'm probably going to say don't do that, okay? The most common thing you're going to think is you want to adjust the table so you can make a bigger cut. These things, even though they give you a gauge that implies that they can take off 3/4 of an inch in one pass, that's way too much. That's way too much stress on this blade and you getting it through. You really don't want to be taking more than 1/8 of an inch. And I've got this set to 1/16 of an inch. So if you end up wanting to take, you know, a higher amount off of your board than 1/16, which is what it's set at now, you just got to make multiple passes. Okay, so if you want to take 1/8 off, run it through twice. All right. If you want to take 1/4 off, run it through 4 times. However many times you need to run it through, that's going to be much easier on the equipment and easier on you. And so that's the way we're going to do it. The adjustments are here and there. There's also locks that you have to disengage to make it move, because these settings are important and we want them to stay where they are. So if you think it needs changed, let me know. I'll probably say no thanks, but you should still know where those adjustments are. This has an emergency kill button. It's the red one that says stop. This also needs reset, so I'm gonna kill it, which this is how you turn it off normally also. So we're gonna start it. It's spinning. Pressing stop is how you stop it. Weird. And then you have to reset the stop button. So right now, if I hit start, it doesn't listen. I have to twist this, and now it's reset. There's a very faint light that's on to remind you, and these arrows pointed on to remind you. All of our emergency stops, emergency kills work that way. The one on the joiner is just the one that's the most clearly marked. So if you use it, you got to twist it to reset it. And that's how this one works. I'll set up the camera so I can run this board through, and you can see what my hand should be doing.